Rick Harrison's life reads like a long, unpredictable negotiation. Part struggle, part hustle, part survival. His story begins not in the pawn shop that made him famous, but in a small San Diego bedroom where at 8 years old he learned what pain felt like. His head buzzed like crossed electrical wires, his muscles locked, his tongue tore, and when the seizure finally released him he couldn't walk. Doctors called them focal onset aware seizures. To Rick, they were simply something to endure. They returned every month for nearly a decade. Sometimes they stole 200 days of school in a single year. While other kids played baseball, Rick lay in bed with ice packs around his legs, reading adventure novels and later, thick history books that most adults didn't know existed. Those books became his escape and, unknowingly, his education for the career he would someday dominate. He learned how to see details people overlooked, how to remember everything, how to think in stories rather than facts. School wasn't any kinder. He was bullied constantly, mocked for missing class, for twitching, for looking pale, for being different. He learned early to keep his head down and watch people. If he couldn't join them, he could study them. That ability to read motives, faces, and weaknesses would become one of his sharpest tools. When he was 16, everything collapsed at once. His mother's once strong real estate business was crushed by soaring interest rates. His father had just left the Navy after 20 years, hoping to join the business at exactly the wrong moment. They lost $1 million and were left with $5,000. They packed their remaining belongings into a car and drove to Las Vegas, hoping for a reset. Rick didn't bother going back to school. He was already making $2,000 a week selling fake Gucci bags in San Diego. He was 15 and earning more than most adults. That hustle dried up by the time he reached Vegas, but Rick never stopped moving. He sold bootleg Vez tapes, repossessed cars at night, flipped used vehicles, pawned his comic book collection, and ran small cons to keep the lights on while raising 2 young sons after his first wife walked out. The tiny coin shop his parents opened on Las Vegas Boulevard became Rick's education in desperation. Gamblers stumbled in at dawn, pawning wedding rings and heirlooms for gas money. Rick studied everything: people, coins, market patterns, lies. He became obsessed with history, especially coins and artifacts. He learned how to spot genuine wear on antique metal, how to read mint marks, how to identify fakes just by their weight or reflection. What he really wanted was a pawn license, but Las Vegas law allowed only 1 per 50,000 residents. So he called the city statistician every week for nearly 2 years, asking for the latest population number. When the city finally reached 250,000 in 1989, Rick fought in court against established pawn owners who wanted him blocked. The legal battle cost him and his father $15,000, but Rick won. He opened the first 24-hour pawn shop in America. It wasn't safe. The mob still had its hands in Vegas. Stolen goods flowed through the shop every night. Rick kept loaded guns behind the counter, hired security, and trusted no one. He also learned how to take big risks. When he spotted an antique 1930s slot machine worth far more than the seller believed, he borrowed $50,000 against it and resold it for a $35,000 profit. That deal transformed his shop's reputation. Suddenly, high-end collectors started showing up. His personal life was harder. His first marriage ended quickly. His second was built on long workdays, tight budgets, and relentless pressure. To make ends meet, Rick even sold guns through the shop without the right license, which brought unwanted attention from federal agents. Still, the business grew. By the mid-2000s, Rick and his father were lending out millions annually and earning hundreds of thousands in interest, though much of it came from people who never returned to reclaim what they pawned. Rick became legendary for spotting historical treasures. He once bought an artillery sword for $15,000 and sold it for $75,000. Another time he recognized the true value of a battered Ferrari and turned it into a 6-figure profit. With every deal, he strengthened his reputation as someone with uncanny historical intuition. In 2009, everything changed. Pawn Stars debuted on the History Channel, and almost overnight, Rick went from behind-the-counter shop owner to television personality, known in over 100 countries. Crowds swarmed the store daily just to see him. The show exploded partly because Rick didn't try to be anything other than himself. He talked calmly, negotiated logically, and taught viewers history without lecturing. By 2016, he was earning tens of thousands per episode, and even more later on. But fame came with a cost. Lawsuits, audits, and scandals began piling up. A stolen coin collection brought legal trouble. The IRS launched a federal audit after discovering unreported family assets. Chumley's 2016 arrest damaged the show's clean image and caused a major dip in viewership. Personal losses hit even harder. Rick's father died in 2018. His will left out one son entirely and left behind unresolved tensions. Rick's mother later accused him of tricking her into signing away her ownership stake while she was in a coma years earlier. She said he stopped sending her the monthly payments she depended on and took control of silver and cash she believed belonged to her. The lawsuit put a restraining order on Rick's handling of business assets and exposed a painful family fracture. His marriages repeatedly broke apart. Divorces cost him millions in alimony, over $65,000 a month at one point. He never signed prenups. He said he believed each marriage would last. In 2021, his son Adam died from fentanyl and methamphetamine toxicity. Rick said he thought about him every day. The loss changed him deeply and pushed him into speaking publicly about addiction. Still, Rick kept working. He raised awareness about epilepsy. He continued building his car collection, including his beloved 1940 Chevy Deluxe. He made smart business decisions, even when fans misinterpreted them. When he passed on a $100,000 Ferrari or lowballed a NASCAR tribute car, people assumed he was broke, but Rick insisted he was simply being cautious in a market full of inflated prices. His finances remain stable. As of 2025, his net worth is around $12 million. Pawn Stars still pays well. The shop still earns strong interest. His podcast with Chumley draws big guests. He appears on finance shows discussing gold, collectibles, and authentication techniques. He still knows how to spot scams better than almost anyone. In March 2025, Rick got engaged again, this time to nurse Angie Paloskin. The proposal came shortly after his 60th birthday, during a trip to Chile. Friends say she helped him through the grief of losing Adam. For Rick, it feels like a fresh start. After decades of seizures, losses, hustles, lawsuits, divorces, fame, scandals, and unexpected wins, Rick is still standing behind the counter, doing what he has always done. Reading people, studying objects, and turning survival into strategy.